You can't navigate through Netflix these days without coming across Korean survival drama Squid Game. In fact, it's the #1 offering in Singapore today. Well, in a nutshell, the drama is about 456 debt-ridden contestants who willingly take part in a series of playground games for an astronomical cash prize. But at first, they have no idea that these games come with deadly stakes. Here with a review is journalist and our pop culture vulture, Jen Lee. Hi, Jen. Jen, how did you find it? What worked and what didn't?
So I think what really worked is how exciting the series is. It really is like every episode is a little bit of a blockbuster, something happens and it's very like you want to find out what goes on in the next episode. Like every episode has something really, really exciting. Like I remember watching the first episode as a screener and I was like blown away because it was so fast paced and immediately like the stakes were illustrated to you. And then, the second episode, it was kind of like then it was taking a step back from the game a little bit, but you also see like how dire the circumstances are for the people involved in these games, when they are outside of the game and they are trying to deal with their real world problems and debts. So I think that's what really makes it exciting. And it just kicks into high gear even more, right? In the third episode and so on. So I think it's the kind of show that is truly binge-worthy. We have a column at Straits Times Live called Binge-worthy where we recommend shows, but Squid Game is definitely like a bingeable kind of show. It's the kind of show that you want to finish in a sitting,
But Jen, viewers will be familiar with the survival premise. They're hardly a novelty. We're talking about the Hunger Games, Alice in Borderland. Anything different in Squid Game?
I think what this one strikes me as is how as much as the premise is a bit fantastical, they're like at a mysterious place. There's this mysterious organization running these games that with a huge cash prize. Where are they getting their money from? Of course, there are a lot of questions. But at the same time, it is taking place in real world South Korea, right? Like, for example, things like, Hunger Games. That's a dystopian fiction, I've actually never watched Alice in Borderland, but from what I understand, it's also a bit of a dystopian fantastical setup. But this one is like, they are real people living in South Korea. They are just extremely poor. They just have made really, really bad financial decisions, perhaps. They are just in a bad situation. And that's when they get approached to play this game. And then they, embark on this journey. So I guess there's a very strong South Korean flavor to it. Even the games play, right? Like Squid Game itself is a game that I'm not familiar with. And I think it is something that South Korean audiences and South Korean citizens would know much better than I, because it's a South Korean TV show. So there is that context there that I think brings a different type of flavor to it.
Well, thank you so much, Jen. I'm certainly looking forward to binging on Squid Game, which is out on Netflix. And certainly, it's only 9 episodes. I think that would be quite bingeable. Now, moving on, Marvel blockbuster Shang-Chi topping $300 million worldwide. And like what the movie means for Asian representation, its soundtrack album mainly features Asian acts as well, from different countries and genres. Our music correspondent, Adino Abdul Hadi, is here and he spoke to the three of them. He said to share more. Hi, Dino. Dino, what did he have to say about what this means for showcasing Asian talent in the music industry?
So I spoke to some of the artists who were involved in the soundtrack in an online press conference, and you could tell that they were all blown away by getting to sing, to rap, and write music for a blockbuster Marvel movie. One of them, Rich Brian, is a rapper. He emphasized how it was a huge move in recognizing the big strides that Asian artists have made in the American music industry in the past few years, especially in the hip-hop world. Now, the three who spoke at the press conference, Rich Brian, like I mentioned, Nikki, and Warren Hugh, they are all artists under the banner of music collective 88 Rising, which is an American company based in New York that has been working hard in promoting Asian talents in the music industry in the past few years. So in the US, for example, they have this annual music festival that has been dubbed the Asian Coachella after that famous music festival. And Rich Brian himself, he made headlines back in 2018 when his debut album Amen became the first by an Asian act to top the iTunes hip hop charts. Warren Hugh, the other guy on the soundtrack, he's a newcomer. He's only 19 years old, so getting into the soundtrack is a big boost for someone like him. And like Brian and Nikki, he's from Indonesia, but all three of them are now living in the US making music. And this was what Warren says during the press conference. I quote him. He says, "We just wrote from our perspective of our culture, and it's always going to resonate with the movie because obviously we are Asian artists and we are speaking from the point of view of how we grew up." And to add to that, Nikki says that doing the soundtrack is a career high, and she says that it's awesome to be part of a project where you feel directly represented and you are recognized as an Asian person.
Thanks, Dino. Now you can read Dino's story online or in tomorrow's paper. By the way, Shang-Chi will premiere on Disney Plus on November 12th to celebrate its inaugural Disney Plus Day. And before I go, food editor Tan Sheryin is here to talk about Lim Bo Rojak. Hi, Shwe. Shwe, why have you chosen to highlight this Penang Rojak stall today?
Okay, well, actually the stall is supposed to have a link with a KL Rojak stall called Uncle Lim's Rojak. And I really like the sauce. I'm not wild about the fruit and the vegetables that are in the salad, but I really like the sauce. It's thick and it's not too sweet. If you eat there, they will toss the sauce with the vegetables and the youtiao and whatever together for you. But if you do a takeaway, if you do tapao, they will separate the youtiao from the fruit and vegetables, and then they'll give you a little container of the sauce. So that's what I did. When I started patronizing the store, was to do a tapao. And when I got home, and I had the sauce, it was so good. So these days I just buy a jar of it, right? And then when I'm at home, I stick it in the fridge, and then if I want to eat it, I'll just squeeze a bit of calamansi lime juice and put whatever chili sauce is in my fridge and stir it up. And then I dip my vegetables into it, like so. I have bangkwang or cucumber, and then fruit will be rose apple or Granny Smith apples, and I even do like pan-fried tempeh. It's so delicious with the sauce. It's just thick and rich and wonderful.
You're making my mouth water right now, Shwe. Well,
Good.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show. You can find Lim Bo Rojak at 64 Joo Chat Place.